Capitol tonight. Well, today's special session did not just draw lawmakers back to Albany. There were a lot of people with vested interests in the bills on the agenda. They were also in town to make a last-minute pitch. My next guest was among them. Jonathan Lippman is the Chief Judge of the state of New York, and he was here to make the case for a special commission that would determine whether judges deserve a pay raise, and that would take the decision out of the hands of the legislature, which has actually neglected to give judges a salary bump for the last 11 years. Judge, thanks very much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Delight.
The real issue, actually, is that the legislative pay raises, which are a political nuclear bomb, and judicial pay raises, which many people have made the case actually are necessary to keep good talent on the bench, are inexorably linked, correct?
Well, I think that's been a problem. Judicial salaries have been linked to other issues, too. If you remember, they're linked to ethics reform, they're linked to criminal justice reform with various governors and various legislatures. I just think it's gotten to the point of the absurd, where you have judges have not received the raise. This is the 12th year. We cannot attract and retain the kinds of judges we need in the state judiciary without even having a cost of living increase for more than a decade.
So most people, though, think of getting onto the bench as sort of A, an honor, and B, the pinnacle of your career, not the place that you go necessarily to make money, which you might do in private practice.
It is an honor, and it is the pinnacle of one's career. But I don't think you can expect judges to divorce themselves from the well-being of their families and being able to have a career path which makes some sense. This is crazy. I can't think of one employee, either in the public or private sector, that has not had even a cost of a living increase in a dozen years. It doesn't make any sense, particularly when we're supposed to be an independent, co-equal branch of government. It doesn't make sense to link our pay to other issues like legislative pay, ethics reform, whatever the issue might be. And in fact, the Court of Appeals has indicated in a case that I recused myself from, because obviously I was the successor plaintiff as the Chief Judge, has said that that's a violation of the state constitution.
Okay. Before we get there, let me just ask you this.
Sure.
What you're pushing is today on the agenda, special session agenda, except the legislature sort of right now notoriously having a lot of problems getting anything done. They have for a while. Doesn't want to do this also because it's a carrot and stick approach. You're asking legislators to give up a bargaining chip because as long as they had the clout of the judges behind them, the judiciary and the bench, it was added pressure that they could bring to try and get their own pay raises.
I'm asking them to do more than that. I'm asking them to divorce judicial pay from politics. Take it out of politics. It's not where it belongs, linked to these other issues, to be held hostage or however you want to call it. Judges should rise or fall on their own, the merits of their arguments, and everyone agrees, as you indicated earlier, that judges deserve a pay increase. Every editorial board in the state, every government leader, including the leaders of the legislature and the executive branch, agree that that's the case, and yet nothing happens. There can't be an excuse for this.
Do you believe that legislators deserve a pay raise or not?
I don't think it's my prerogative. As far as I'm concerned, all of it should be divorced from politics.
So there should be a commission that just makes decisions on everybody's pay.
I think these things have to be taken out of politics. I don't know about their issue. There are political issues that drive whether they get a pay increase or not.
Right.
With the judiciary, it shouldn't be a political football. That's not what we're about. When we come on the bench, we take off whatever party we are, take off that hat. We're the non-political branch of government.
Okay, but here's the problem. At one point, you referenced this lawsuit. There were actually a couple of them that were wending their way through the system. There were some judges, there were a number upstate, if I remember correctly, that were very active in a political way about their own pay. They were very upset. They talked of slowdowns. They talk of recusing themselves from cases in which legislators who are lawyers are representing clients. I mean, that's political, is it not?
Look, no, I don't think it's political in that sense. It's a request for equity in the way they treat the judiciary. First of all, you know, no one, certainly under my watch, is going to do any slowdowns or not comply with their constitutional obligation. All judges will do that. No one has any intention of doing that, least of all the Chief Judge when overseeing all of our judiciary. Did some judges recuse themselves from handling certain cases? Yes, because they believed there was a conflict. But I don't think that's political in the sense when you're talking about big P political. I think that's judges showing their frustration that this is just a ridiculous situation that's gotten out of hand. And if New York wants to continue to be the empire state, this has to be resolved.
Okay, just to be clear, what is the base pay that we're talking about here?
A justice of the Supreme Court earns $136,700, which they have earned for the last 12 years, and which is less, not that it's necessarily the most analogous situation, particularly outside the city, but it, in many instances, is less than the first-year student coming out of law school and going to a big major law firm in this state.
And you would like to see it go to what? Or you're just saying, let this independent commission make a decision?
We would be totally comfortable with letting an independent commission determine what our salaries should be. I can only tell you that we have said that an analogous salary would be that paid to federal district court judges, which have, let me put it this way, the New York State courts in one day, in the New York State court system, hear more cases than the entire federal court system in the United States in a year. So we think at the very least it should be equal to that, but we'd be very, very comfortable with letting an independent salary commission determine what judges should earn.
Okay, but the state is facing a $9 to $10 billion deficit, and $136,000, particularly I'm sure to some viewers, looks like a lot of money.
We're talking about a salary increase of the kind we're talking about represents 0.03% of the state budget. 0.03%, and during the last dozen years, in 11 years, when the budget was relatively good, we were told judges deserve a salary increase, but we can't do it because of other reasons that have nothing to do with you. What I'm saying to you in the 12th year, please don't tell me that this is about the money. This is not about the money. There's no good government group, no editorial board, no leader of state government would say that giving the judges a salary increase is going to impact negatively on the state budget.
Okay.
Not true.
So we don't know. Probably it doesn't look great for today because the legislature is having difficulty.
I don't say it doesn't look great. We're working it. I've spoken to each of the leaders today, and we're trying to get this done.
Okay, what about Governor-elect Cuomo? I mean, why not put it into the budget? This is something actually that past governors have tried.
We have had it in the budget for the last 4 years, and it continues to be in the budget. But are we to wait another year and another year after that? How many years do you think judges could go without a salary increase and still, again, attract and retain the kind of judiciary that this state deserves and that we deal with the most pressing issues affecting the citizens of this state?
Okay, I want to ask you about, just before I let you go, something else. I don't want to step on your news story because you're about to make a big announcement about this, but there was a story in the New York Times this week regarding your plans to request as part of the judiciary's budget, which is determined by the legislature actually, for $100 million extra for indigent legal affairs.
Without commenting on the amount, because we're going to release it tomorrow, let me say that for every dollar spent on civil legal services in this state, it will redound to the benefit of the state 5 times over. This isn't just about doing the ethically correct thing, helping the most vulnerable among us. This isn't only about equal justice for all in this state. This is about the very bottom line of this state, that it serves the interest of the health of this state, of the economic health of this state, to fund civil legal services.
Because it keeps people out of the system?
Because you save money on social services, you save money on incarceration, you save money on homelessness costs, you get benefits to the state coming out of the federal government. The bottom line is, by investing in civil legal services, the state gets more money. The economic, the fiscal bottom line is improved for all of those reasons by not letting these people fall off the cliff, which is unacceptable morally, ethically, but also, again, in terms of the economic health of the state.
We spoke earlier about politics,
Yeah.
which is something obviously that's difficult, tricky for the judicial branch to
Right.
wade itself into. Governor-elect Cuomo asked you for an expedited calendar to make a
Right.
decision regarding these 3 cliffhanger
Correct.
Senate races, and you agreed that that was
Right.
important. Why did you think it was important?
So I thought it was the right thing to do because government has to work. And I don't think it serves anyone's interest, the two parties, the other branches of government, to have this thing bleed over into the new year and have an extended fight over the leadership of the state Senate, which we had during the last session, that resulted in government being paralyzed. Our job, this is an administrative decision that I made, which was to set an election schedule that we can meet, allow judges to issue rulings as they deem appropriate, but set a hard and fast schedule so that we in the Court of Appeals can finally determine these matters.
Do you think you will? Because what I'm hearing from elections attorneys who are out, in the field. Just today we hear that there is a senator who has asked for a full hand recount in one of these districts in Long Island. These are new machines. It's a whole new field of precedent. There aren't precedents that deal with this.
But exactly the point, Liz, that this is new law for us. How much you fill in the oval,
Right.
whether there's a mark, it has to go up to the High Court so it can be ruled from a single perspective. Take the different cases that come up, set the law in the state, and have government work starting January 1. This was a logistical decision that I made in my administrative capacity. Judges will still make the calls at each of the local in each of the local races, and they'll do whatever they think is appropriate. But we will be staying on this to ensure that the schedule is met and that the Court of Appeals can make that ruling that you're talking about. Hopefully on December 20th is the date where we've scheduled to be up at the Court of Appeals.
Okay. Well, we will keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, I want
Okay.
to thank you very much, Chief Judge Jonathan Lippman. First time that we've spoken. I want to thank you for coming in.
My pleasure, Liz. Appreciate it.